welcome to the very first episode of Picture This, a Big Brother Hometowns retrospective. This is a project that this is a journey that we're embarking on, and we're really excited about it. We're going to talk more about what this is and what you're getting yourself into and what you're listening to now here in a minute. But first, I'm going to introduce myself. I am Josh Consalvo. If you are listening to this, I'm sure you know who I am. Not to be all, vain and conceited about myself, but I'm assuming that if you have gone through the trouble of clicking on this, listening to this, downloading this, watching this, however you're consuming this content, you probably know who I am and what this is all about. But I'm Josh Consalvo, the host and founder of the online reality game Big Brother Hometowns, and I am joined today by one of my many co-hosts, and one of my many good friends, Mitchell Stokes. How are you today, Mitchell?
I'm good, and I'm really here for that random person who found this link and was like, you know what? I'm gonna click on this. What is this? And then they're like, Josh Consalvo, who? Mitchell, who? I'm here for you, listener, whoever you are. I'm here for you, and welcome, and thank you for joining us. I am really excited to jump into this with you, Josh. I mean, I didn't even introduce myself, but I'm Mitchell, and I have been in this community now for about a year, I think, because I joined Josh about halfway through his journey and been helping him host now for a couple months and produce things. And we kind of just got to talking one day, and we're like, what if we did something crazy?
Yeah, what if we did something absolutely crazy? And this is the, in a lot of ways, maybe the test run of this crazy thing, but I think this is the beginning of this crazy thing, because I really think that this is going to be an exciting journey for us to take, and I think the people that consume it are going to get a lot of value out of it. Now, we keep talking about it. In short, what this is going to be is a Big Brother Hometowns retrospective, as the title suggests. We're going to dig back through, go all the way back to season 1, and we are going to walk through kind of step by step this entire series, talk through the moves, talk through the game. If you don't know what Big Brother Hometowns is, we're going to talk more about that in a minute. But for those of you that do, obviously, we're going to go back through all the seasons, and we're going to talk through all the players, all the episodes, all the moments. We're going to go behind the scenes in a lot of capacities. We're going to analyze. We're going to just banter, and we're going to kind of see where it takes us. But we're really excited about. Mitchell and I have watched through the series a million times, so we figured, all right, it's time for us to just
I think it's something that we want to do, not only just because it's a vanity project and we want to do it, but there's such a rich history and a rich community surrounding this this game. And I think it's really interesting to kind of go back and time capsule some of those things and some of the hilarious things that we all talk about, or we quote off the top of our heads, when we're on streams together or we're just on calls or talking. It's fun to go back and look at those things in context and see how they now affect the community that we're a part of and the things that we're the things that we're experiencing together. So
yeah,
I'm excited about that.
In a lot of ways, this is like an online course in Big Brother Hometowns culture. You're going to know everything there is to know about everyone that's ever played, which is kind of wild that by the end of this, we're going to talk about every single person that's ever played this game.
Yeah.
In depth, in some capacity. Everyone that has played is going to have their moment kind of in the spotlight here. And that's kind of fun. So that's a lot of fun. I'm really excited about those of you listening that are listening to this introduction first, and then you might jump right to your season. My suggestion is that you listen to this and you roll through the whole thing, because we think this is just a fun. I don't want to call it a resource or a tool, or just a fun content, good content.
If you love Big Brother Hometowns, I can't imagine you won't enjoy this in some capacity.
Yeah.
Unless you just don't like listening to my voice, or you don't like listening to Josh's voice, then what, I guess click on. But
yeah.
This will be fun. It'll be fun to look at in context. If you want to watch the episodes alongside of listening to us talk about it, yeah, this totally original idea that we came up with.
Yeah, no one's ever done anything like this in the history of ever.
Yeah, but if that's something that you're inclined to do, use this as just some fill in the gaps, because anyone who's a part of this community knows that there are things that get left on the table if they don't get put into a confessional. There's lots of chats and calls and convos that don't get included, just like any sort of reality experience. Like not everything is going to be shown and not everything is seen. So this is a good way to like contextualize some of the game moves and some of the relationships and things. And Josh is going to be a huge resource for that, as he literally lived all of these experiences and was, you know, a viewer and a consumer of a lot of that content, him like personally.
Yeah. And you know, while I did live all those experiences still live right here on my phone. Like every chat, every diary room, every confessional video, everything that has ever happened in Big Brother Hometowns lives in here. So we're going to be able to really dig through things that are missing, fill in some holes, tell you some fun stories that didn't fit into the big narrative of an episode or of a season to watch, but that are really fun to learn about and know about. Some things that that would talk about the difficult moments from the production side, the difficult things that we have dealt with and gone through, and why those things matter. And we're going to talk about all those things, and it's going to be a lot of fun.
The tell-all is going to be real.
There's going to be
some things. There's going to be some hopefully some good, good juicy content.
There will be moments. There will be moments that I will not be afraid to hold back here, because one, I am not afraid to hurt feelings for the most part. And two, those people that we're going to, I'm not going to say come for, are not going to be listening to this. So I'm not too worried about that.
Probably not.
But that's kind of, a little bit of an overview, and we'll talk a little bit more about that later. But where we wanted to start, and I'm going to kind of turn it over to Mitchell to turn it back over to me, is that just kind of talk about the origin story of Big Brother Hometowns, and kind of give an introduction of how this whole thing started and how we got from, September 2018 now.
Wow.
2018. Yeah. Right.
I don't know.
September 2018.
Makes sense.
Yes. Yeah. The year Jenny and I got married to now, which is wild. We're over 2 years into this thing, which in the moment saying it out loud feels not real.
It's significant though. And and this is where I kind of want to maybe take over the direction of the conversation. But one of the things for me, like joining into this, was just, not only for myself, like a new experience of doing one of these games, but it was a chance to reconnect with an old friend from school, and a chance to see and watch how much of a passion project this is for you, Josh. And I've just been super enamored with that over the course of the last year, as you and I have reconnected, and as our friendship has grown, and as I've kind of been brought into the fold. And there are just so many things that about this project for you, that, and the project being Big Brother Hometowns in general,
right,
that I've always had questions about, and I feel like people want to know the answers to these as well. And so we're gonna actually do, we're just gonna talk, just do we're gonna do a little interview of sorts, but because I just think your story with this is really fascinating, and seeing how much energy and time and effort you put into this is really, really cool. And I want people to understand and have context to why you do what you do. So I think it'll be really interesting to kind of hear you talk through some of these things. And so I'm just gonna throw some questions at you and put you on the spot, and we'll go from there.
Cool. Let's do it.
Good? All right. Okay, cool. Perfect. So for me personally, when I look at org people, there's a special breed, and we all share this, most of us share this love for reality games. And I know that you also have just a love for games in general. Kind of tell us where that comes from, and how'd you get into reality TV and all that stuff?
Yeah, that's a good question, because it goes back to literally me as a 3-year-old.
Yeah.
Because I have always gravitated towards game shows. Always my whole life. If you ask my parents, like, what did Josh want to be when he grew up, they would say he wanted to be a game show host. There's a video out there. I've always had this in me. Always. There's a video out there. Maybe one day I'll find it. Of me as a 3-year-old, like holding up cards and asking my dad gibberish trivia questions as a game show host. So I can picture now. I would say like, and my dad would say, George Washington, and then I would always respond with, "That's right, Daddy. That's right." And I've just always, my first words were Wink Martindale, because he was an old game show host. Because he would Wink Martindale, like this bit, like those were like my first words.
Oh my God.
Which is wild and very on brand, very on brand.
Very on brand.
And so I've just always loved game shows, and I've always loved competition. There was when I finished college, I did an internship program, and one of the things we did was that we took a stack of what they're called value cards, and you would look through them, and you'd kind of do like a ranking of all these different values to find out what are your top 5 things you value. And one of the top 5 things I value was competition. And I always, when someone asked me about that, when I was talking about that, I always make sure to clarify that I value competition. I don't value winning. I don't value, winning or losing. I value competition. There's always been times in my life where anytime I like to play sports. I'm an athletic guy, and anytime I would play sports or do anything, I would always take the teammate that I knew wasn't as good, always. And it wasn't because it was only because I valued real competition. I took no pleasure or joy in taking the best player and then just beating up on the other guys. Like that was not fun for me. So in that internship, me and Jenny, my wife, and a couple other guys would always play spike ball. And I did not expect to go into this story today, but here we are. And the 2 other guys, Zach and Connor, had played a bunch of spike ball and were very good at it. And Jenny had never really played. Jenny was like generally athletic, but had never played. And other than having a crush on her at the time, I was like, I'm going to take Jenny as my partner because I want to like get her good enough so we can compete with these guys. Yeah. We can beat these guys. And so that was always just like a thing that drive me was competition. I always valued competition. And so I valued watching competition, which, all the game shows I watch, I still watch The Price is Right. I still watch Jeopardy. I still watch Wheel of Fortune. I watch all these things all the time. And then my grandmother, it's funny that she's the one that introduced me in a sense. She would, when my family moved down to North Carolina, she would come visit for, a month at a time every now and again. And she was here one of these years during, I don't remember what season, but it was some season of Survivor. And I had known what Survivor was, and I had seen it here or there. But any time that she was there and we watched it, I was just enamored by it, and I was hooked on it. I think I grasped that there was a game happening, and it was not about just eating bugs and camping. I think I understood that at the time because I gravitated toward that thing. And so, Survivor was the thing I watched kind of whenever she was around and whenever she was, and, on and off. I wasn't really devoted until season 19. So Samoa. And Russell Hantz was this new character, and he kind of injected this new life into Survivor in a lot of ways. And I was enamored by what he was doing and how he played. And I was devastated when he lost, and then I was devastated when he lost again. Spoilers for those of you watching Survivor on Netflix right now.
And then he lost again, and then he lost again.
Then he lost again, and then he lost again. But even to go on a tangent, the way he played in Australian Survivor was also kind of impressive in some capacities, because he almost did not go home in that tribal council with an idol around his neck and some crazy split vote. But anyway, not the point. Yeah. And from that point on, I was hooked on Survivor. I watched. Yeah. I have not missed a season since. I have not watched every season of the old seasons, but I've watched a vast majority of them. So then I discovered. I discovered RHAP around, I discovered it I kind of knew what it was, but I dove into it right before Survivor Game Changers.
Oh my God, same.
Yeah. And I don't know what it was. this is not the throw shade, but I had tried to get into it earlier, and I remember I picked an episode of Why Blank Lost, and I was so bored. Sorry to any Why Blank Lost podcasters or listeners, but I just was like, it's like, okay, this is fine.
Yeah.
But then, I don't know what the first one, I just tried it again during Game Changers and got really into it. And so this is all getting to a point. And so then it comes around. So now we're pushing forward to. I'm a patron. I'm listening to RHAP all the time. I'm neck deep in this. Now this is like almost become like my life. I'm like I just love everything about this. I love analyzing. It expanded my capacity for strategic knowledge, I guess you could say. And so that all kind of propelled me to. I had never watched Big Brother. I always knew what it was. I always kind of knew the game existed in some capacity. I knew what it was. I never got into it until Big Brother 19, which is, widely hated.
It is.
But I understand why. But I was hooked. I loved it. I was just like, this game is fascinating. This season is interesting because you have this guy running the show here, and the wool pull over everyone's eyes. And so watched Big Brother that season, really fascinated by the game. The next year comes around, Big Brother 20, a much better season, highly regarded. And this was towards the end. So now I'm kind of transitioning maybe into your next question of how Big Brother Hometown started. I'm assuming is where we're going.
Yeah, don't get too far ahead of yourself, because I do want to. There's
okay.
2 things I want to interject with, and it's just more of like a personal. I know we're interviewing you, but I'll find any way to interject a personal story and talk about myself. But like the Game Changers thing, I don't know if you started listening to that content from the beginning, or was it like at the before preseason?
I did. I listened to the preseason.
The preseason stuff of that season was so good, and that's what got me hooked on it. I wanted to ask you just like a follow-up question. Like, were you like a Game Show Network kid?
Oh, absolutely.
Oh, okay, because so was I.
Yeah.
We didn't have cable growing up, and so I would go to my grandma's house for summer, and she'd be like, "What are you gonna watch?" And I'd be like, "I'm watching Game Show Network all day."
Because the lineup was pretty decent. Like it was like Family Feud was always on, but you also had like Catch 21, which I didn't love but still watched. Chain Reaction, which I loved.
Password.
Press Your Luck.
Card Sharks. So many good. Like, it was
Pyramid.
Just so fun. Oh God, yeah, the Pyramid.
I love the Pyramid. Yeah. Oh yeah. So
okay. Yeah. So that.
I'm waiting for YouTube TV to actually get Game Show Network on it, because it does not, and it makes me sad. And that's what we use for TV.
When they get that compendium later on, that'll be so fun to go back and.
Yeah.
But I think you can find a lot of that on YouTube, though. If you really want to. But
yeah.
Okay, so let's jump back into this. So you are watching Big Brother 20. How did the idea for Big Brother Hometowns come about? Tell us about the creation story. Tell us, did you even know what an org was? Like, kind of tell us the story behind it.
It all happened so fast. It just snowballed like, and that's how my ideas always go. This is just how my ideas always
Josh,
go.
We're gonna do this right now. Wait, hold on, buddy. Hold on. We gotta let's chill a little bit.
I get something. I'm like, all right. Here's the like intro video for everything. I'm posting it on Facebook. Like, everyone, like, my ideas just like they come, and then we're off with them. If I know that they're good ideas. Sometimes if they're bad ideas, I try and run with them too. But usually the good outweighs the bad. So I was driving home, like to my parents' house for a weekend in, I guess this was like late August of 2018. Jenny and I had been married for just a couple months. And I was listening to Taryn on some Big Brother 20 podcast. I don't even remember what it was. It might've been the Roundtable or something. Who knows? And that's when the idea started snowballing in my head. I'd always wanted, here, I'll go back even further. Here's a good tidbit about my life. And this will transition us in some way into a little like Easter egg of season 1. when I was in high school, I hosted 3 Survivor events for my friends. um,
That's so much.
and one was at my house, one was at Chris's house, and then one was at the church. The one at the church, Bradley won. So Bradley,
Okay, so he actually did win
he
something.
does have a win, and he does have a win. And that was ages ago. So I always was fascinated by trying to make other people play these games because I like these games are good games, and I am a proponent of good games. I have a shelf upstairs in my house with over 100 board games, and 85% of them are actual real good games. The rest of them are fine. Anyway,
you got something to say against Monopoly?
yes.
I'm just kidding. Don't start. I shouldn't have even started.
The game goes too long. You have roll and move. Like roll and move is trash. You have people inventing rules that add time to the game. You just have this whole luck-based system. There's just like the only thing interesting about Monopoly is the trading, and that's pretty much it.
I'm sorry. I
Anyway.
didn't mean to trigger you about Monopoly.
Like I'll sit down. I'd play it if I had to, but there's just so many other things I'd rather do. Anyway, okay. So I'm driving home and I think to myself, I'm like, what if I got all my friends together and made them play Big Brother? Because I always thought that Big Brother as a game was more interesting and could translate better to an online online over Survivor. Now, the internet probably doesn't see it that way because there's tons of Survivor games out there, and that's fine. And Survivor works. Like, don't get me wrong. And I so the first thing I did was I was visiting my sister at her school and to see her classroom. It was like right at the beginning of her first year teaching. And I got there and I told her, I was like, I have this idea. And she was like, all right, here we go. Like Josh and his ideas. And I was like, what if I got a bunch of us together and like we spent, in my mind, it was going to be like a month and a half, like playing Big Brother. Like, and Ashton had also recently just gotten into Big Brother at Big Brother 19. So we had started at the same time. And she was like, yeah, it actually sounds really fun. She was dating Lane at the time. She was like, I bet you Lane would be all over this. I was like, great. I texted Jenny in Ashton's classroom. I was like, hey, you're going to play Big Brother. And she had no idea like what
that meant.
I mean, she had watched Big Brother 20 with me, so she knew what the game was, but she did not know like what that was going to entail for her life.
Yeah.
Thank God that she just said yes, because who knows what would happen if she didn't.
We love a supportive wife.
Yeah. And then that night I was visiting some friends. So I was hanging out with, Big Brother Hometowns legends, Sarah, Ian, and Drew. And we were hanging out, going to play games or something that night. And so here's how I kind of presented it to them. I was like, okay, I have this idea. And I remember I was in Ian's apartment living room at the time. And the 3 of them were sitting on the couch, and I was standing in front of them like I was presenting something.
Like you're on Shark Tank.
Yeah, like I was on Shark Tank. I may have even made that joke at the time. It's very possible that I made the Shark Tank joke. And so I said, okay, I was like, we love games. We love playing games. It's like, what if we were playing a game that was always happening? Like this game is like, that's kind of how I pitched it. I was like, this game is like always happening. I was like, you may be familiar with the show Big Brother. You may have never watched it. And I walked through the format of Big Brother. I said, okay, you have the HOH, whatever. I told them how Big Brother works. And really without much convincing, they were all in. I was like, all right, great. So the 3 of them were in. And then I was off to the races.
Because at that point you had what, 5, 6 people?
Yeah, I already
were kind of like, the casting was going so well.
Yeah, it was great. Yeah, I have Sarah, Ian, Drew, Jenny, Ashton, Lane. I have 6 people, and so then I start texting people. I text Bradley, he's in. I text Tyler, he's in. I text a friend named Eric Marcy, who has never played Big Brother Hometowns, and he was in at the time. And one of these days he's going to play, and he's going to be awesome. Eric is he's just like a lifelong friend. And he was in at the time. Who else was in? Who am I missing? Tucker. I texted Tucker. And Tucker, I didn't have to convince, but I knew I had to like approach like, hey, I have this wild idea. And Tucker had watched Big Brother for a long time, so he'd watched longer than I have. And I was like, okay, and he was in. Like he was in. Sarah knew Daniel, and she messaged him, and he was in. who else? The only other person is the
Allie.
only other person is Allie, but Allie was never going to be was not a part. Was there anyone else? I feel like I'm missing someone, but
Chris.
anyway.
Chris.
Oh, Chris, Texas Chris, he was in. Yeah, that was not hard. So yeah, so Eric dropped out at the kind of like the last minute, and Ian was dating Allie at the time. They're married now, but I think they were even engaged at the time. And he talked her into playing, which and we'll talk about this when we get into the season, when we get into season 1, because there's a lot, but that drastically changed the entire season. And I knew it at the time that it was going to be. I was nervous to have her for that reason.
That's actually really fascinating.
Yeah, that changes things so dramatically, so dramatically. Anyway, so they're all in. I tell them like, hey, we're going to start in a couple of weeks. I may have even said we're going to start in like a month, but didn't give them a firm start date. I was like, I got to work to plan this, but I couldn't stop. Like I just was working where I was like putting competitions together. I was thinking through all the rules. I was making videos. I was doing everything. And
were you just like coming up with competitions on your own, or were you just like using things that you knew? Like how were you kind of coming up with that just out of your
That's all in my brain.
Awesome.
It was all in my head. And I just sat down in my office and I was just firing away at competitions. I was just like figuring stuff out. And of course I used like my knowledge of Big Brother and kind of adapting some things I did. I didn't just come up with everything, but
you came up with your own set of rules. You came up with your own, you do historically like to use like flash games or things that you know of, but like I just didn't know like at that point what where it was all coming from.
Right. It was all just mainly coming from my head. And I just went to work at it. And like 2 weeks later, I'm like, hey guys, this game's going to start like next week.
Tomorrow. We're starting tomorrow, actually.
Yeah. And we'll talk. I don't want to. I want to save some of this for the real season 1. But like they started pre-gaming. They started like I have some really cool stuff that we'll dig into. They start talking. They're all getting ready, and that
one was so messy.
Yeah, the hype.
So messy.
The hype train was just chugging along to the start of that season, and then the season started, and it happened. So and the season happened.
It happened. Oh, it did.
And we'll dig into all of that very soon. But,
yeah.
Very, very soon. But then, kind of as that season was winding down, I was not sure what this was. Like, I in my mind, it was like a fun thing that we did. And there was part of me that wanted to do it again. And there's part of me that was like, maybe that was just kind of it.
Well, because can you contextualize that for us? Because I don't believe there was like a Facebook part. There wasn't a Facebook page.
There was nothing. It just existed.
You guys the 13 of you just had this experience that like you guys did. So
yeah, and that was truly it. I was making episodes as it went along, but they're very different looking than the episodes that you see today. And I don't know if you've ever seen those.
No, I haven't. But I want to ask you why. I guess I don't know. Did you have the sense that there was something to build towards? Because like you had them sending confessionals. You were keeping track of all of the story and keeping track of everything. Like why do that if it was just going to be like this one?
Because and this is kind of my guiding principle is that I care about the experience, and so that as the season went along, it was fun for me to like build episodes and things because I wanted them to be able to for the players. I wanted them to be able to look back and watch it all play out and see how everything went down. So it was more for them than for to build off of anything. But of course, in the back of my mind, there's not. I'm not thinking that that this can't happen again.
Right. It's just interesting to me, like that in that moment when it was just like this one like little experience, like this could totally have been the lost season of Big Brother Hometowns.
Right.
Like it really could have been like there was no need for them to do confessionals. There was no need for you to track the story and keep the chats and all that stuff. But like you did, and it's super cool to have like as this own little time capsule because it is very different from the rest of what you end up doing.
And at the time, it's not even called Big Brother Hometowns. It's just like, hey, let's just play Big Brother. Like, and I make sure to give that credit where it's due. Jenny named Big Brother Hometowns, Big Brother Hometowns. But I'll get to that in a second because, while that season is obviously very important, how it continues is maybe even more important. I don't remember where we were. Jenny and I, it was towards the end of the season, or actually I think the season had ended and we were hanging out with the Brocks, Justin and his wife, Jess. And we were talking about it and, kind of the experience. It was either them or with Matt, who also played season 2. I don't remember exactly, but one of them was like, I do remember that I got a text message from Greg and he said, if you do this again, I'm going to play. Mm-hmm. Like, he was like, if you do this, and so that was kind of the first little, like, okay, maybe I could do it again. And then, Justin or Matt or someone was like, yeah, I really think you should do this again. Heck, it may have been someone completely different. Somebody, we were somewhere and they're like, you should do this again, like right now. Like, and so that night, this is me.
Yeah,
like,
here we go. Yeah.
Here we go. Like, even though I come off that season and I remember feeling like, all right, it's done. Like we did it. It was a lot of fun. And like, all right, I was like kind of not dying to do it right away again. But then all it takes is for someone to be excited about it and someone else to say, hey, I want you to do this again. And I'm back in. And so that night, wherever we came home from that night, I came right home and I made the application. And that night or that next morning, I sent it out. I told people from season 1 to post about it. And a bunch of them did. And boom, boom, boom. People
it started to go from there.
Yeah. People started applying. So
awesome.
And once again, but the bubble is very small at this point because it's really just the people.
It legitimately is like the hometowns of Josh Consalvo.
Right, exactly. Except with a couple of exceptions. So you have Abby, who is by way of the ministry that a lot of us have worked for, that she has visited the camp before. And so she knew a lot of the people that had played in season 1 and a lot of people that played season 2. And then you have Connor, who was by way of Chris. And you have Trey Smith, who was by way of Allie. And so then kind of from there, it's off to the races and we play the season. And then I was like, all right, I'm going to do it again. And we did it again. And then we did it again. And, it just kind of kept building and growing. Not to get too far ahead in that story, but yeah.
So and that's
let me answer one other question you asked before because I want to get this off my chest. You asked if I knew if orgs existed, and the answer is yes and no.
Is this a confession? No, I'm just kidding.
It is. This is a confession. This is a confession, and I'll get to the confession here in a second. But after season 1. Maybe actually after season 2, I started kind of looking for the world of this because I knew twofold. Like I really knew that like I certainly didn't create it in this format.
Yeah.
And so I found some games and I played in a couple like games that were whatever, but then I played in Survivor Online Real Money games. Yeah. And that was like my first real game and I had a really great experience. I got blindsided in 7th place, had a lot of fun. And that's when I kind of started to expand an audience because I was able to, pull from those people and that's where it starts growing. But here's the confession. I was always knew in the back of my head, like my whole life, ever since I started watching Survivor, that I was like, surely like you can play this online. Like it can't be that hard for this to happen. And I found this website called 10Gage.
No, are you serious? That's like the stain of the org community, the armpit, and you've what? I'm shook. I'm absolutely shook. I've been everything I've known for the last year has been a lie. I always felt like Josh had this original, was just this like original, and now he's admitting to being on 10Gage. I'm shook.
Okay, so here's some things about that experience for me as a kid. I always knew the games were trash. The Survivor.
How old were you?
13, 14.
Oh
whatever.
My God.
Yeah.
You were literally like one of the 10Gage kids.
I actually might have been a little older. I might have been more like 14, 15. Anyway. But I was probably a little older. I was probably, in the 14, 15 range. Anyway, I knew those games were trash. I never was like in. I was never like in. I tried to be. but I never was like in. And so that's all I thought that experience, like that online reality gaming was just that. I was like,
Gotcha.
no one has invented beyond this. But then, come to my adult years and I start Big Brother Hometowns and I find the real world of this where, a vibrant community and good
Yeah,
games
yeah.
and all these
Oh
things.
my
But
god, I'm literally I don't even know what to do with myself right now. I'm like literally shook.
yeah. So yeah, that's that I
All
had.
right, that ends the interview.
I'm glad I could get that off my chest. It's funny that I've never said that to you before. I'm glad we went through this
You've
moment.
never admitted that. Like it's been like it is well, it is such like everyone always says like, well, I was on 10K. Like everybody's
Yeah.
always like so like about it. But oh my
That website has not changed in 10 years, like at all. Every once in a while, I'll just be like, "What's going on over there?" Like,
I've never been on there.
you need to. You need to just see it.
I'm scared.
It's you just need to see it.
Oh.
Anyway, you were about to ask me.
Yeah, I was gonna ask you something. I think it kind of goes along with you mentioned like, oh, you know you did it again and again and again, more seasons and more seasons. Like you were gearing up. Like at the time of this recording, spoiler alert, we're gearing up for season 12. It is the holidays, winter break. We're chatting. Um, what do you see as the journey to get here? Like I know you've kind of spoken about it briefly, but like the way that it's grown and changed, like the journey for maybe the gameplay or the seasons themselves, like to get to 12. Um, what has that experience been like for you?
It's been wild in a lot of ways, and I always just try and like I've taken the approach, especially early on, that the goal is to find honestly 12 to 20 new people. Like every time, it's like if I can do this one more time, then we're good. Like if I can do it one more time, I was like, the goal is to just do the next season. And that's kind of the approach I took after season 2 happened. I was like, my goal is to do one more season. And that got us season 3, which had 12 people in it. Not a huge season, but a fun season, really a great time. And so that has always been the approach. But I think that otherwise, like, and early on, I meant to say this early on, seasons 1 through 5, 1 through 6 rather, 1 through 6 were pay to play.
Yeah.
And that's because we had a cash prize, and I wasn't just going to fork out money like some people do out there, which is fine for them. And like
no Tina Shade.
Yeah. But like it was just like 20 bucks, and
I paid my $20.
Yeah, you did. And there was a $150 prize. I would profit the rest. I was like, I'm gonna make some money off of this if I can. But then season 7 rolls. Then season 6 ends, and I can't get season 7 off the ground for a while. And so at a certain point, I just had decided to myself, I was like, I love doing this, and
it aligned with.
Aligned with quarantine, right? There's those two things. It's like I love doing this, and everyone's stuck at home right now. I was like, so I'm just gonna do this for free because I'm just do this for fun and see what happens. And that's in a lot of ways where it became sustainable. Where I feel a little less worried about going season to season at this point.
We talk. When we were casting for season 11, we were talking about season 12.
Right.
Casting for season 12 right now, and we're like, okay, but season 13, like we're very much beyond the one season model. So
right. And so that's where a lot of the quote unquote org people started kind of infiltrating. But I don't, though that's kind of the thing that has been said, I still don't quite see it fully that way because of a couple things. One, because we still have had people play this game that have infiltrated that. So you look at season 7, and you still have people like Max and Jayla and Bradley and Lauren coming in and playing with people like Chandler and Max Layton. Even you have people playing with people like Chandler and Sam and Jake and Artisha and people that have played these games a lot and infiltrating and giving it. And season 8, you still have Gray, Thomas, Connor, these people that just like not
Darrell.
No, he plays a lot of games now. I think.
Oh, does he? Okay.
Yeah, I think so. and I think so that's one part of it. The other part of it is I think, part of like the unspoken mission statement of Big Brother Hometowns for me is, it is the reason it was called Hometowns in Jenny's mind was that you could play Big Brother from your hometown. It has the feel of like, hey, I'm still living my life, and playing this game, but having this rich experience, this unique experience that I wouldn't otherwise have. And that's something that I love to provide for people. That's why I love to host the Weakest Link on the Bean Party. I love to do these fun, unique things because I want to see people live experiences that they wouldn't otherwise get the chance to live. And this, I was thinking about this morning, and though part of that mission statement is to give them that and them to be able to live their normal life, people are going to only get out what they put in, and the proof is in the pudding of the people we've seen play this game. You have people like you and people like Jason and Steven and Max and Quinn and whoever that have played this game and have poured their heart and soul into it, and they've gotten a lot out of it. Yeah. But then you have people like Bobby and Leighton who were there.
They played.
They played. They played a couple times, and both times they were there and they had a nice time, but they didn't get, I feel like, the full rich experience out of it that they could have gotten had they dove right into it. And so I don't even remember which question was.
We're talking about the journey.
Yeah. And so the people that come out, I've never played a game like this before, and dive right in, have helped propel the Hometowns brand, if you will, forward, and continues to give it that feel where you have people now, 11 seasons in, you have someone like Carl who has played these games. You would on the surface you'd call him an org person, but has immersed himself or submersed himself into the Big Brother Hometowns community, and you see this real, normal, fun person that has this really, like, big personality, larger than life, but is an authentic, genuine human being that has played this game. And I think partially is because of the care we put into the experience, and the care we put into the post-game experience, and the care we put into the pre-game experience that the players experience after the game.
For sure.
And so,
I think also too, like, I mean, I look at it from my experience, and someone who I had no idea orgs existed hit you up one day after you got a question on rap, and I was like, wait, I know that guy. Like, we went to college together. Like, we reconnected over reality TV. You said, hey, you need to come play this game. And I was like, what are you talking about? My experience, not knowing anything, jumping in, diving in, I think same experience, season 11, Anthony, really no idea what this is, only tangentially because of his family in Sarah, and but like just jumps right in and has this like really, really satisfying experience. Really compelling story for him and experience, and now is like a big advocate for the, I very much see what you're talking about with the Hometowns brand and the new people that continue to find our community and just jump right in, and I actually think it's a great transition point, like, for us to talk about the community of Big Brother Hometowns. And what has that been like for you as it's been created? Like, I know I think you started the Facebook page after season 2 or season 3 or something like that. But like, what has that experience been like for you to see this community kind of grow and come to life? And
I think that it's incredible. It's awesome. I love every bit of it, and it is one of the places in my life where I feel the most authentically me. And so I want to start with that. I think a part of me, like, is always pushing to grow it and always pushing to be better and always, like, never quite, like, satisfied with it. And I think that I sometimes play the comparison game where I look at other pages and other things and see numbers and see bigger numbers. And I'm like, well, and we had this conversation the other night, and Adam was like, yeah, but the quality, it's the quality over quantity.
Mhm.
It's literally that. And we have, there's almost 400 people on the page. Like that's a ton of people,
Yeah.
for crying out loud. It's not like there's just 20 people that are just coming here playing the weakest link every week and saying the same, 20
Right.
people playing BBH. It's not that. And so I think that I didn't set out to do that. Like I didn't set out to create a community in any capacity. I just started making friends. And
Yeah.
I just started caring about the people and watching their stories and watching them play this game and talking to them about it and arguing with them about it and telling them, oh, you should have done this, whatever, like having all that and bringing them into that experience. And then I saw quarantine as an opportunity. I really did. And
Mhm.
we talked about that. And I saw it as an opportunity to continue to push this thing and to see where we could take it. And it has led to, and the second the viewing party started, I had a vision for it. And the vision for it was a place for people to watch the game. And so in some ways I did set out to do this, but like a place for people to watch the game, a place for me to come on and pretend like I'm a podcaster
Yeah.
and analyze the game and talk about it. Cause I feel like I have a good mind for it. I feel like I am good at this in some capacity. And so I brought Gray on and we would talk about the thing. If you really dig about that, dig deep, there's an interview in season 3 with me, Ashton, and Lane talking about season 3. There's like all kind, like I set out to do that because it was fun and I
Yeah.
enjoyed doing it. And then in quarantine, saw that as an opportunity to dig even deeper into it. Season 6, I brought on a co-host, right? And so Max helps me out. That helps propel us even more. And so,
Mhm.
and then the other things we do, we do the off the block shows where we talk about our history and we do Survivor or Big Brother simulations, and the weakest link has taken off in the past
Yeah.
month, and that's just because it's fun to watch and fun to play, and I see the community as I hate to keep saying the Hometowns brand, but I see the Hometowns brand as like an entertainment hub
Mhm.
for online reality gaming. I see it as this place where you can come and you can experience friendship and you can experience Big Brother and you can play Family Feud and The Weakest Link and you can comment on streams as other people do that, or as we talk about the players. It's a place where the people that engage in it can become the star of the show, if you will. Like it's a
Yeah.
place where people can come and just have a good time. And the culture that I hope to continue to cultivate is a culture of generally like positivity
Mhm.
and generally a culture of enjoying the ridiculous. And if that means that we are going to come for Steven in the chat when he rates Big Brother Hometowns 9 the worst, or we're going to, tell Anthony how big of a bonehead he was for not putting Dan and Justin on the block. If that means those like more negative sounding things, or us, coming for people, or us arguing,
Yeah.
that is still all under the like pretense of, enjoying the ridiculous and
Yeah.
enjoying like this experience, and it's still being a fun, tongue-in-cheek
Yeah.
place.
Yeah. No, for sure. Well, and it's like, I don't know if you ever would have imagined it to be what it is right now. Like I know you said you had a vision, but I don't know if you would have ever imagined it to be the way it is. And I don't know if you had ever imagined the community to contain the type of people that it contains, so from all different walks of life and that are different from your own, and from all across the country and all different types of life experiences.
Across the world.
Yeah, across the world. Like it's I don't know, it's just it's something that I've always been struck by as something that's very beautiful, and I don't know if you ever would have thought that it would have gotten here, but I think what you have and what the community has created to be is something that's really, really unique and special and beautiful. So
Mhm.
I
I don't know if I ever pictured it, and I still am not, like I said, like kind of like never satisfied in some capacities, even though I like enjoy every bit of it and love every second of it. Like I always am like, all right, but like we haven't arrived. Like, and I don't want us to feel like we've arrived, because I want to keep growing and see what are the like limits of this. Like how far can we take this
Mhm.
while maintaining, dare I say, the Hometowns brand.
Say Hometown's brand one more time.
Oh, I probably will.
All right. Do you have any final thoughts about like the evolution of the space? You kind of talked through the game, the community. I have like a fun question. Uh, if you have no more thoughts about that.
Hit me with your fun question.
Okay. Do you have any favorite moments from the series? Like, just in general, like things that just jump to the top of your mind from it?
Yeah, so many. And I was thinking through this today because and I'll probably forget some of the things that I thought about. But the first one that jumps to my mind where I thought, whoa, like I have something here.
Mm-hmm.
And it was when Connor sent me his first confessional. It was like a surreal moment
Mm-hmm.
because I saw, and I've watched that confessional a million times. And it was just one of those things that's like, I don't know who he is. Like, and he's playing my game. He's sending me money. He's sending me videos of himself playing this game, which out of context, that sounds really bizarre. and, but, and, and I was so scared for him because the first thing he said is, I don't know anybody here.
Mm-hmm.
And they all do. And I know that because I've done my homework. And I said, I got to figure out where I fit into this group. And it was like, I loved watching Connor play that game. And the more he played, the more cracked out he got, the more comfortable he got, the more risks and adventures like he took himself on. And just Connor's journey was one of those times where I was like, whoa, I like really have something cool here.
Mm-hmm.
And like Connor's discovering this, like, and then he wins the game. Like the whole, like, and he almost didn't in so many different ways. And I was like, this is the only way this season can end is with Connor winning. And so that's an early favorite moment. I'm going to jump around. I'm not going to go chronologically because I'll forget things.
Yeah, you're fine.
One of the other big moments that I will, and it's not even just about the one thing that happens here. Do you know what I'm about to say?
I don't know.
No, is when when Alex takes Gray.
Oh, yeah.
When Alex takes Gray, go back right now if you're listening to this. Pause this real quick and go back and watch the finale and go to the moment where Alex takes Gray and watch for two things: watch for my face and watch for Quinn's face. We both like were stunned in that moment, and it's not just about Alex taking Gray because that in of itself is incredible and a series defining moment. But that whole finale is just fantastic, and I was rooting for Gray. Like I love Alex, and you know if he had won, I'd been really excited for him. But in that moment, I'm like I'm really rooting for Gray because I've known Gray, for 5-6 years at this point.
Yeah.
And so I really rooting for him. And then as the votes roll in, I'm trying to figure out like, okay, who's going where. I didn't know where Kaylee was going to vote. Quinn ends up being the deciding vote. And then the votes come in and Gray wins. And afterwards that finale ends. And there's never been a time like after a finale where like I called Gray and we talked and we were both just in shock that he had just won that game.
Mm-hmm.
And we were just talking like, I was like, dude, there were 18 people in this game and you just won it. Like it was just it was like a surreal night and one of those nights in the series that you just never ever forget. Those are and it's funny that those are the two because the Connor Gray story is one that we're going to obviously talk about because there's a lot of history between the two of them. I love that Gray votes for Connor in season 2 to win and then Connor votes for Gray to win in season 8. Like all that kind of stuff is really great. Well, then why don't you just give me like one of your favorite moments too?
Okay. Yeah, because I've been around about half the time. I think one of my favorite moments from like a purely selfish thing was like when I asked you if I could do interviews like for season 9 and just not only the way that like I felt like that was a cool niche thing that I could do to like propel the community in the game, but like it was just really fun. That cast was so fun. Like it was so messy and I just had a blast talking to them. A game moment that like I just love. I mean, I just think about like the All Stars like live vote and eviction that you guys did between Quinn and I, like, and just like the face of that, like that you guys all made, and then like cut to like me crying, like crying over an org, Mitchell. Come on now, but like like how that moment was just such a cool moment for me in terms of the game, but like then like you like posted, I think like on your Instagram the
Oh,
next day.
Gray did.
Yeah, like someone posted on their Instagram the next day, like, this is what being a part of Big Brother Hometowns
Yeah.
is like. And it's just like everyone's like
Yeah.
bug eyed. And I was like, ooh, I'm not supposed to see this because
Yeah.
I'm in the game, but
Yeah. I couldn't believe Gray posted that. I was like, come on, Gray. Like, this is not the thing you do. But I thought of one more moment that is also like one of those big moments I remember, and that's the season 3 finale. And that it was the first time we did a live finale, and it ran really well. And I just like had done a lot of work. Like, if you had seen my setup there, it was just like a hot mess to make it all happen. Obviously, StreamYard is like a gift from God for all this, but like it was really cool. Everyone, like, no one had really ever played a game other than the people who had played Big Brother Hometowns at that point, like that were returning. But like they came and did this finale live, and they asked the jury questioning, and everyone was like had a lot of fun with it, and it was just like another special night that I was like, oh, this is like the next step, another step forward, and now it's a staple of the game.
We have to have the finale.
Yeah.
We have to have the opportunity for everybody to read everyone in the comments.
Yeah.
Okay, let's wrap up with this part, because I know we still want to talk a little bit about like what we're actually doing, and we're about an hour in, so let's, if people are still listening to this, honestly,
Thank you.
thank you. Yeah. But what are some goals that you have for Big Brother Hometowns? There's so much growth and so much has come so far. What do you want to do? And you kind of already talked about this, but
if I could have anything in the world, Big Brother Hometowns would be my full-time job. That would be the thing. That is the biggest goal I could ever like aspire to in this. And do I think that's realistic? Not really, but do I think there's a world where it could happen? Sure.
Yeah.
I'm gonna work and keep working at it, and if something comes of it like that, that'd be awesome. But otherwise, the goal kind of remains the same: is to give people fun new experiences wrapped up in this crazy game, and to continue to see people play it. In terms of like kind of small goals. Obviously, I want a winners at war. I want 20 seasons. I want this thing to keep chugging along. I don't want it to stop anytime soon. I want to continue to see the community grow in number, and continue as the quality grows as well. I don't ever want it to lose that feel that we have. And I want to keep bringing people in. I want people to open our page, join the viewing party, and go, whoa, like no one else is doing this. Why? Like, this is really cool. Like why aren't other pages doing this? Like, I want to be a part of this. And then they go to the application for Big Brother Hometown 17 and they apply, whatever it may be. And I want people to experience it in that way. And I want the word to continue to go out. I want to continue to hear interviews like we heard from Dan last season when he talks to Abby and he says, I heard that this was a reputable game and I want to be a part of it. And so all of those goals just continue, like, remain the same as we continue to grow and continue to get better, and as we continue to cultivate the Hometowns brand.
There it is. All right, let's talk, and maybe this is my opportunity to turn this back over to you, because this has been really fun for me to like dig into your history a little bit, and but let's talk about this project. Let's like, what exactly are we doing? What is the goal? Like, yes, we're feeling ourselves a little bit, this pure vanity moment for us, but like, what are people gonna what should people expect when they sit down to listen to their season, or this, season 1, chapter 1? What are we gonna try to do here?
This is a great question, and I think it's going to develop as we get our own rhythm with it. But the goal of this is to honor our history, and to do that by rewatching the whole series and talking through every moment of it. So this is a companion tool to your viewing experience. If you've never watched old seasons of Big Brother Hometowns, I would say watch the season, and then come to us
Yeah.
and listen through.
Oh, it's gonna be spoilers.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
There's no spoiler free content.
Yeah, yeah. So watch the season, and then come back and listen to the whole chapter of a season or whatever it may be. Because and for the most part, every if a chapter is season one, every chapter is going to be self-contained in itself, in a sense. We'll touch on things that have implications in the future, or we'll touch on things that look backwards.
Yeah.
But I think we'll rarely like jump too far forward into that regard, so that you can watch season one and then check out chapter one of this. The title of it, if I said it at the top, is called "Picture This: A Big Brother Hometowns Retrospective," and I will give the context of that.
Yes.
If you watch Big Brother Hometown season 6, which was the first season with episodes, and is
it's widely regarded as the best season,
Yeah.
According to some professionals.
Yeah. In the professional opinion of some, it's the best season of Big Brother Hometowns. The very first confessional, Ryan Cowboy Marston says, "Picture this: a house, except it's not a house. It's
Not a house."
And so we just kind of stole that, and so it's called "Picture This: A Big Brother Hometowns Retrospective," and we're going to track pretty much everything. So yeah, we'll track every HOH, every veto, every decision they made, all the behind the scenes, anything that you didn't see, some things that are happening in chats that don't make the episodes, or some things that are fun stories that didn't make the episodes. And don't necessarily fit into the big picture, but are still fun to reminisce on and to talk about, and see how those things inform decisions or didn't inform decisions, or what moments matter, don't matter, all kinds of things. We'll be breaking it down, kind of taking a fine-tooth comb to these games that happened.
Yeah, and I think it's going to be really fun. Josh is more of the strategy brain here. I am the entertainment, fun, messy brain side of things, and we're gonna like combine our two sides into one and try to really make some decent content out of what happened. And I kind of view my role as the digger. Like, I have to really dig into Josh's brain and be like, wait, you got to tell us what was going on here. Like, what was actually, like, because he lived all these experiences. And I think it'll be really fun to see what was there, what's present, but like what other things are, contributing to these decisions and to these game moves.
And some of you might think, okay, this is ridiculous. And yes, it is. And like I said a minute ago, one of the goals is to enjoy the ridiculous. But I think that, Big Brother Hometown season 1 happened 2 years and 3 months ago, which is wild, like I've said.
Yeah.
And you can watch the episodes and get a really fulfilling experience, but there's a lot of stories that are left untold, and I think that good stories are worth being told, and we're going to tell those stories, and we're going, and Mitchell in a lot of ways is going to learn a lot of those stories, like he said, by digging into my brain and digging into my GroupMe account, and I may give him access to that so he can just
send them my way,
dig through it himself and try and piece the puzzles together. And it's just gonna be a fun time, and I know that a lot of you, and so in the viewing party era, we from season 3 on, though we do analyze a lot of things, and though we have talked about a lot of the moments that happened and told a lot of those stories, we didn't talk through every single moment. We didn't get talk every single thing. So I think what this is going to serve for a lot of you is you're going to check out your season, watch it, and then listen to us talk through every single thing. And you might discover things about your own season that you didn't even realize happened, or that you don't remember.
And the episodes are created at the time of the season, so it's not like Big Survivor, where they get all the content and then they're able to tell the story as it goes. You're telling the story as it happens. And so it'll be interesting to go back and see like the story that was happening at the time of the game versus like the ultimate story of like who won and what is their story, and kind of like play those things back and forth. Because like, I mean, I think you could argue, like, for example, like season 6 is the story of Steven, and it's the story of me, and it's the story of our battle in a
Right.
sense, and for us versus Quinn to start, and then us versus each other. Like the story is not necessarily Sarah's story, but it ultimately becomes her story because she is the final winner. Spoiler
Mhm.
alert. So
Yeah, big spoiler. So ultimately, what we want from this is that from you, the listener, is to take this journey with us. So you can very well choose to jump right into your own season, and that's great. But we think that there's a lot of value in walking through this whole thing with us, learning our history, if not just for the fun of it. Like really, if not, I mean, really only for the fun of it. Like this is truly just for fun, and we want you to take this story with us. Tell us what you think. Like as you listen in, like what do we get wrong? Like, yeah, we lived this, but you might see it a
yeah,
very different way, or you may have played it a very different way. What you thought at the time may be very different than what we're reading into the situation. So, give us your feedback as you listen through and you take this really exciting journey with us. So, I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to jumping in. This is just kind of an introduction, like we said, a teaser to get you excited about listening through this with us, and we're excited for you to tune in as we take this journey again ourselves.
yeah, it's gonna be really fun, and looking forward to it a lot.
But otherwise, that's going to be it for us today. We look forward to kicking this thing off with Chapter 1 of Big Brother Hometowns Season 1. We're going to dig into all the relationships, all the moves, all the mess.
I'm very excited.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun. And we hope you check that out. And otherwise, that wraps us up for now. So we will see you
Bye.
again later.